to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. We appreciate you so very much hanging out on the broadcast here with us in many different ways. So however you're with us on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, we thank you for being on youtube.com and facebook.com, both /wakeupcalldt, and on wakeupcalldt.podbean.com Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. And once these shows go live, they jump into the archives, and you can find us on Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, MixLR, Player FM, Podbean, Podvine, TuneIn, Spotify, Stitcher, YouTube, and more. All you have to do is search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. We got an awesome show set up for you. Of course, it's Wednesday, which means we are here in Dolphin time, and our Dolphin Dive here inside of the wonderful world of the postseason is going to be featuring Jeff Lonczak, longtime guest here on the show. And I think if he has 2 more episodes with me, he officially becomes like a co-host. But Jeff Lonczak here with me on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, the Lemoyne College Dolphins men's and women's tennis head coach. And for men's tennis in the NCAA tournament down in Orlando, Florida, they have a match going on tomorrow. And he's been nice enough to lend me some time today ahead of that matchup as we get set for a huge, huge day in Orlando, Florida for Lemoyne men's tennis. So that'll be in Dolphin Dive in just a moment. Inside of MonPazPopcorn.com's What's Poppin'. And in hour number 2, we'll be joined by Dave Pasiak. You know him for joining us all throughout the NBA playoff seasons of the last many years, and typically joining us on Tuesday this week, joining us on Wednesday. So Dave will be with us 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time to carry us through hour number 2 to talk about his Sixers as well as the entire NBA as we move closer and closer toward the NBA Finals. Dave, a longtime basketball head coach and analyst, and currently coaching out in the great state of Vermont. We appreciate Dave so very much. Look forward to having him on the show in hour 2. But like I said, we're starting off the show here with somebody who is no stranger to the broadcast. Picture in picture with me, Jeff Lonczak, Lemoyne Dolphins men's tennis head coach ahead of their NCAA tournament match. Sir, how are you?
I'm doing great. Always pumped to be here, and I'll be your assistant co-host any day for sure.
There it is. I like hearing that. Now, the thing that makes me sad is that I messed up my dates. So last year, I went down to Florida, and I just so happened to be there when you were in the NCAA tournament and had a match down there. I was on vacation with my mom. And this time around, I was talking with you, and you said, yeah, May 11th. And in my head, I'm like, oh, yeah, like that. I'll be there. And I was down in Florida last week, going to Disney, relaxing, having a good time, and then came home after 8 days. So I'm bummed that I'm seeing you now, hotel room, relaxation. The weather's probably 90 out. I'm coming off of the fact that I was just down there, just at Disney, just rode Tron, went on Guardians of the Galaxy, saw Guardians at Disney Springs. So I'm riding this high of being in Disney and being in Orlando, and now here you are down there. So I'm happy for you, sad for me. How is it down in Orlando?
Yeah, it's great. Weather's great. Yeah, I don't know. I wish you were here too. I would have got you a +1 on the banquet tonight. It should be pretty. It should be pretty cool. Yeah, we just went over to the national campus, which is amazing. 96 courts. Yeah, dropped off about 20 rackets. Yeah, it's going to be beautiful pretty much all day. We practiced 3:30 over there, so yeah, it's exciting. I'm taking the boys tomorrow. They gave me a pretty good idea. Last year I took them to Daytona Beach. Actually, we were able to practice there, and they hung out on the beach a little bit, which is, I guess, what they like to do. So this year we're going to go to Tampa for a little bit, check it out over there, and have lunch, and then relax for tomorrow.
Yeah, and that's the thing is you guys have the opportunity to kind of get out there and relax and enjoy the sights. So what is, like you said, go over to Tampa, go to the beach. So how do you plan it out, and what is kind of important to you for the guys to do before the match?
Yeah, I'll be honest, I'm a seat of my pants type of guy when it comes to that stuff. Because of how it is in here, with the weather. It can rain for half an hour, be done, half an hour, be done. So we were locked into practice time at 3:30. So I'm always looking at the weather to make sure that that's going to work out. And it wasn't for a while, but now it seems like it is.
Yeah.
So I'm always careful with that, with the practice time. But but yeah, I mean, we got to eat for sure, and the guys, they're looking for a little bit of chill time. I mean, I'd like to get them out to Universal or Disney property one of these years if it's possible. But probably gonna have to fundraise for that.
Yeah. No, Disney's tickets were like 80 something bucks when I was working there, and now it's like 154. They've almost doubled their ticket price, which to me is outrageous because I mean they need them, they don't need the money. So I mean, when you're making billions upon billions of dollars, I think you can afford to keep your tickets at a reasonable price, maybe like $100. But yeah, no, definitely got to get this. This is what I will tell you: if you make the decision, if and when you make the decision to head over to Disney, I will be the tour guide for the team
Oh,
because nobody's gonna bring you through Disney like I'm gonna bring you through Disney. So I will happily be the Lemoyne tour guide without doubt.
uh, they would love that, and be able to engage in a little bit of Spanish speaking, so it'd be perfect.
Yes, yeah, and that was the thing. Like when I was down here in Florida, working down in Florida, I was speaking Spanish pretty much daily because of the population and the people that travel in and whatnot. So to me, can I understand it? Yes. Can I speak it? Yes. But when you're speaking every day, it was just such a I don't know. It was so valuable to me to have that time and really just get to learn every day and learn that there's different dialects. If someone's coming from the Dominican Republic as opposed to Mexico or Puerto Rico, they're going to talk with you a little bit differently. They're going to say things a little bit differently. Some people speak a little bit faster. So I love the challenge of being down in Florida and doing it. So I feel like now that we've talked about it, we have to do it because I don't talk about it, I be about it. So the next time there's an NCAA match for Lemoyne, we're having a Disney day. So I'm telling everybody now, Lemoyne Giving Day of 2024, we're raising money to make sure that this team gets a true Floridian experience. How about that?
Oh, I love that. Yeah, no, the guys would believe me. They would hop on that in a heartbeat for sure.
So you're going to go to the beach. You're going to go to Tampa. Are you going strictly Tampa or are you going St. Pete's?
I'm not really sure if we're doing just Tampa or St. Pete or Clearwater. I'm not even sure. But I'm gonna kind of plan it out a little bit. I mean, we got a pretty finite period of time, so
Yeah.
we're gonna be locked into about 4 hours. Because I want to make sure that everybody's relaxed and fed before we have to play. So yeah, I mean it's from where we're at, it's about an hour and 10 minutes. So I think I think it'll work out great, guys. The guys will love it.
Yeah, no, I think you'll definitely have a good time out there for sure without doubt. And I would suggest St. Pete's because it's my favorite beach in America. It's not just my favorite beach, my favorite beach in America. So I would go to St. Pete's and I as a single man, I would say the sand, the food, and the views of St. Pete's are probably the best. That's what I would say.
Oh, well, I will Google Maps that quickly and make sure that it becomes a part of the plan.
Yeah, you got to do that. Now, do you guys mini golf? Are you doing any of that? Do you try to do some fun stuff like that or no?
I mean, last year the banquet was at I can't even think of it. The big pro golf. I can't even the golf thing, the huge golf thing. So yeah, we were able to do that there. This one's at like almost more like a nightclub slash food truck place. I don't know. So we're gonna do that, but yeah, I guess it depends on it if we win. If we win, we'll get a couple extra days. So then the wheel will start turning. We'll figure out an extra fun thing to do.
Yeah, I think and hopefully we do, and hopefully that opportunity continues here down in Orlando, Florida. I mean, what's it like for you? Because this team has made it multiple seasons consecutively, so you've been able to, make it. It's a normal thing to be down in Orlando. It's a normal thing for your team to advance to the NCAAs. So, what has that experience been like with you? That the goal is not to simply win the NE10 or, to go undefeated in the regular season or go undefeated at whatever it may be. All these streaks and records you've had, that's all well and good. But you've been leading this team into the NCAAs, and we're used to seeing you in Florida now. So what does that mean for this program?
Yeah, it means a lot. And I mean, we can sit here and talk records all day long and stuff like that, but it's what do you do in the postseason, and that's always been my attitude. And I guess I've just learned watching other sports and all the successful
Yeah.
people and how the preparation for playoffs, postseason becomes even more detailed and important. So yeah, I mean, I take that with me. And these guys get it. I mean, they can feel my energy during the postseason. So it becomes theirs, and we work together to try to do our best then.
So, I mean, they say don't reinvent the wheel and whatnot. Is there anything that changes for you coaching wise? Is there anything that you try and do differently? Anything that is not the same as what you're doing during the regular season? Or do you try to keep the guys just feeling the same way all the way through when you're in the postseason?
Yeah, I mean, there's not much. I mean, when we start out in January, it's intense and quick, and we're really working towards our goals. I mean, this past week, the onus was being placed upon. We got to get outside. We got to feel the ball outside. And I'm not structured in my approach to those practices. I mean, guys know what we got to do, on a daily basis. I did implement a little mini tournament to figure out the sixth spot for tomorrow, and that became intense, of course, as it was going to be.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, most of us, I keep it pretty loose, at the same time. While sure, the importance of everything goes up. Still, we got to have fun. We got to be loose because at the end of the day, we're the 15th seed. They're the number 2. They're going to be tight. In tournaments like this, that first match is your most nervous, your most tense. So if I can somehow figure out a way to keep these guys loose in that match, I know they're going to be tight. So I mean, maybe we can pull an upset.
And like you said, to find a place for this sixth spot, you had a little mini tournament. I would love for you to get into that and share that with us, what you did.
Well, to be completely honest, the results at that sixth position haven't been what we were kind of looking for throughout the season. And my captains came to me, and it's not as if I wasn't thinking of it as well, but my captains came to me and said, "Hey, look, what do you think?" And I said, "Well, I've been thinking about it for a few days now. Hey, let's give everybody a shot. 6 through 11. Let's play a set each, 5 sets, 6 guys, 5 sets. Who you win them all, spot's yours. You end up 4-1. We'll do tiebreakers or something to figure out who's ahead. And at the end of the day, I mean, I got seniors all over the place in those positions who have been with me for years. Guys that are injured, guys that don't care that they're injured. They come to practice every day. They want a shot. So I did that, and one of our guys, Felipe Cruz, he came out on top, and he's a transfer from the University of St. Louis, where he started there his whole career, or his 2-year career there.
Yeah.
And here he hasn't started. He hurt his shoulder recently, a year ago. So he came up big, and then he deserves it. So we're really excited for him and the opportunity he's going to have, because he thought his last match of his collegiate career was against Franklin Pierce, where he got beat. So. Yeah, no, it's been cool. I'm really excited for him. He's just a great guy.
Where has this team surprised you in a good way this season?
Yeah, I mean, the individuality of this team, it shines through because everybody's so different.
Yeah.
But our ability to appreciate everyone's difference, I think, is what really shines through the most and surprises me, because, I mean, a lot of people are judgmental in this country. And, we're not. And I mean, even me, I mean, I'm the most probably more different than any of these guys. The way that I go about my business as a tennis coach is different too. So they appreciate me, and they appreciate each other. And, in those huddles at that time where I get a chance to speak, which is brief, the captains come up and say, "Hey, you know what? It's been a freaking pleasure to play with you guys. It's been an honor of mine." So that makes me happy.
Yeah, and here at Jeff Lonczak, the head coach of the Moyne men's and women's tennis teams. The men's team in the NCAA is here with a match coming up tomorrow in Orlando, Florida. For you to see the evolution of this team and to see their growth from point A to right now, is this where you thought they could be, or was it something where you thought, okay, maybe this is a season where we take a step back to take a step forward? How did you see this team initially when you were putting the pieces together? Did you feel like we're going to end up back down in Orlando, or did you think, hey, this might be a season where we don't make it as far, but we're going to do this, and this right? How did you envision it the first time?
Yeah, I did think we were going to get back down here. And as the season progressed, with a couple of losses to SNU, we were unsure of it. We pretty much set down our clear goals for the season, and it was always, win a conference championship, get to the NCAA tournament, and win a round. So yeah, I mean, there was times where it didn't look like that was going to happen, but for whatever reason, I felt confident going into Queens weekend. I mean, I knew we were playing good teams, but at the end of the day, we beat both of those teams the past 2 years. So, I mean, experience goes a long way, in the sport. And I thought we were going to win, and somehow, we were able to do it.
And your guys spoke with me about this, and what they wanted, and Peter and Tom, when they came out here and had Dolphin Dive on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora exclusively here in our multimedia marketing partnership, when we had the conversation, they made it no secret that yes, they had to play Stack, St. Thomas Aquinas College first, but they had every intent of seeing Queens again because they lost to Queens in the regular season in non-conference play, and they wanted to see Queens, and they wanted to, do what they needed to do this time around. When that they have that fire, and obviously they're not looking past Stack, but having the opportunity to have Queens again, and knowing that they had unfinished business, and that as a team they knew we want to see them. Some people shy away from that. They said, no, give them to us again. We want Queens again. Put them on the court again. What did that mean to you that they had that fire and that drive to cancel out that regular season loss and make sure they beat them this time around?
Yeah, it means a ton. I mean, it just, I guess as coaches, we sit here and we say, it's a reflection upon myself. And I don't really say that too much because, like I said, these guys are individuals. But yeah, I mean, we think the same, So like, probably 2 weeks ago, right before we're playing SNU, I go up to Tom and I say, you know what? I'm the most competitive person out here. There's nobody who wants to win more than me here. And he says, no, I am. Right. So, I mean, that's huge. And like I told you before when we were talking, like Peter, I told him, hey, you know what? You're playing the number one Division II player in the country. And he says, you know what? You tell him he's playing Peter Hatton. And that's what we want. So like, it can be looked at as arrogant, but we're confident. And yeah, we even right after we lost to Queens, we wanted them again. And I kind of knew that we were going to have them again. So it was a blessing. It was great.
Have you ever seen a tennis racket mutilated more than the Queens matchup?
112,000 views on Tennis Legend Instagram. It was unbelievable. Yeah, I mean, it's the toughest place that I've ever coached. The toughest place that we've ever played. It's a true home environment, and it's a school that it's a tennis school. I mean, that's what that place is. It's a tennis school. If you walk into that place and you see their basketball facilities and you see their tennis facilities, you say, am I in Antarctica? I mean, where am I? Because it's really strange. But yeah, I mean, I've known Lucas for 5 years now. I like Lucas a lot. And I understand. When he's breaking his racket, the first thing he does, you can see, he looks at his team. So I mean, he had that pressure on him. It's up to him to win that deciding match. And I can tell you right now, they expected to win. They beat us before. They beat Stack twice. They're nationally ranked. They're 33rd in the country at the time. They're going to Florida. I mean, that's their thought, and we just kind of took that from them. So I understand his pain. But yeah, I mean, that racket's in rough shape.
Have you ever broken a racket?
Oh, Danny. I've broken a few. Not like that, but I've broken a few.
Yeah, I asked a question knowing the answer. That's what happened with that, because I know your passion. So to someone who's never been here, Jeff Lonczak, the Moyne College Dolphins men's tennis head coach and women's tennis head coach, and here with men's tennis down at the NCAAs in Orlando, Florida. To someone who has never been to the USTA national campus in Orlando, how would you describe
it? Wow, I mean, it's intense. I mean, 96 courts. I was here one time right when it opened, and I was blown away. I don't even know how long ago that was, but I haven't been back since. So I mean, I just walked in today to get racket strung. They had, $10,000 stringers with just guys manning each stringing machine, smoothie bar, pro shop, check-in point on your right. The tennis courts, I mean, so we're going to be able to get every single match chair umpired, which is awesome. Everything's live streamed. I mean, there's a college section and a USTA section, and the college section is just unbelievable. So, I mean, we feel really, really lucky that we're here. It's the nicest facility I've ever seen, and we play our regional at the National Tennis Center at Billie Jean King, where they play the U.S. Open, and this is probably nicer.
Yeah, I mean, I think, obviously Orlando, Florida knows how to do things up nice, and, there's a reason why the amusement capital of the world, or the tourist capital for a lot of people in this country, at least, to know that. But, for the USTA, what do you want to say to them about what they put on and what they have? I mean, I'm looking at the tournament schedule right now, which is going to have games on the men's side on Thursday, May 11th, which will be your match day as well. And then we're looking at Saturday, May 13th. And then on the women's side, we are going to see matches that are going to be happening on Friday, May 12th, and on Sunday, May 14th. So playing all kind of within each other there. But what is the USTA? What has it meant to you? And how would you describe kind of how they not just the venue, but how they put on everything and the professionalism of it all to see everything converge in men's and women's tennis in such a huge way coming up later on this week and into the weekend?
Yeah, well, I mean, I've been playing USTA tournaments and leagues since I was probably 14 years old, and I still do. So, I mean, the USTA has been a part of my life for a million years, it seems like. And this national campus is just a testament to how great of an organization they are. Yeah, I mean, it's something else. And there's a USPTA place right next door, so it's like this is like tennis heaven, and yeah, I mean, we're thankful to be a part of it. That's for sure.
And you made a mention of something that every match chair will be umpired, and so we're gonna have somebody there fair and championship quality. I agree with Greg, who just wrote something in here, just how important it is for that, because I don't think people really understand that having each match umpired and having somebody sitting in the chair at every single match, just how vital that is and how important that is, because there's things that it get kind of confusing when we're watching some matches. And I know with like the NE10, Bob Beretta and I were sitting and sometimes they weren't changing the score and whatnot. So we were saying like, what's going on over here? What's happening here? I know later on in one of the matches, there was a guy that was kind of calling things out on the team that was playing up against Lemoyne. And then, the umpire came over and said, no, like that's the wrong call. But you're kind of wondering, like, I mean, you can't, if there's two of them, you can't have them on 5 courts. So to have these matches, to have someone in each chair umpiring each of these, just what that means to you and the importance of that, and maybe to go further than that, the importance of finding a way to do that at every match.
Right. Yeah. So for to give you a glimpse on how it works for us during the regular season. Yeah. So the regular season, if we're playing a non-conference match, be it whoever we're playing, D1, D2, D3, we don't necessarily have to have an official. And a lot of times I don't get them. Now, I will say against Queens, we definitely do get one. But we're contracted by our conference to have one official for 6 courts during for any 10 match. Okay. And then the conference tournament, we get 2. Same thing for regionals.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so wow, like it's amazing to have a chair, because now they're keeping score for us too, which it just happens. I mean, against Stack, Manny forgot to put the scorecards on a changeover. Well, he he ended up winning the set twice essentially, because he won the set, but the guy said, "No, you didn't change the score." No, that's not the score. And the rule is that you have to go back to the last score you agree upon. So, yeah. So, I mean, things like that happen. Bad calls happen all the time. I mean, these guys are representing more than just themselves and their team and their college. So, I mean, sometimes they make bad calls, and my team does too. I mean, it's just kind of the nature of the beast, and it's sad. And now you have chair umpires on every single one, keeping the score, announcing the score, which is always an issue. Yeah, it's great. I mean, we're so pumped about it. Yeah, and it should change things a lot for us. It's really cool.
And we get to see this at the USTA campus, but how important is it, in your opinion, to have some type of rules or regulation passed where this becomes a normal thing, where there is someone at each match, there's scores being kept, there's scores being updated? What would you like to see happen in the game of tennis?
Yeah, I mean, ideally, sure. I'd love to have six chairs for our matches. In the space that we're currently in, I mean, that's probably not a reality anytime soon, I don't think. We're working on different things. Like, there's an app now. It's an iPhone app that you can kind of set your phone on a net post, and it can call the lines with extreme accuracy. So, I mean, that would be one way. You can set those up on six courts. I think it's like a $200 a year subscription. That might be one way where we can get lines tracked on each court. Yeah. The Ivies, the Pac-10s, the Big 12s, the Big 10s, the SECs. Those conferences all are contracted to have 6 chair umpires for each match. So, I mean, it seems to be more of a Power 5 situation now in tennis. Ideally, it would be cool across the board to be everyone to be chaired. And there's also really a lack of officials, so that makes it even more challenging. But yeah, ideally that would be great. I mean, we'd all love that for sure.
If Moyne was to go D1, will there at least be a jump in that side of it, depending on the conference? Do you feel like there would be an upgrade in officiating, at least in some respect?
Yeah, I feel like if that happens, I feel like we would have to have at least an official at every single match, non-conference or conference, and then we would go by the conference bylaws, whatever that may be. Yeah, and then like you said, I mean, with that, I hopefully my schedule will be upgraded, so I would have an opportunity to maybe get a shot at Cornell. I don't know, but like maybe get a shot at some of the schools that are contracted to have, chair umpires at each match.
Yeah. And I mean, and you and I talked about it. If this were to happen, this D1 move, the Colgates, the Cornells, the Syracuses, the places that are not far away, I would imagine that those those matches and then across the board games and everything for any sport need to be scheduled, because Syracuse is 5 minutes away, and then you have the Colgates and the Cornells and whatnot. So I believe the excuses not to play you would have to go away, Jeff.
I hope so. Yeah, no, we could have some I-90 showdowns. Get some of the Siennas and the the Niagaras and the Buffaloes and all those schools out there. It'd be cool.
So being here and going off of that, you challenge yourself. You challenge yourself in non-conference play. You put yourself up against Division I opponents every single season. What do you think that does for the team? And when you look at the field specifically this year at the USTA National Campus for the NCAA tournament, when you're looking at the field now, do you feel like what you've gone up against in the Division I teams that you faced, the schools that you faced. How well do you think that prepares you for this year's field?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, that experience hopefully, prepared us really well. To be honest, when I look at that field, I think there's 10 schools that we could beat in this tournament that we would beat. The other five, I mean, they're going to be extremely challenging, and we're playing one of those five, to be completely honest with you. So yeah, I mean, that loss against Buffalo, where we're playing against really high level players and played them tight, I mean, that's gonna help us for tomorrow.
And before I let you go, we have Columbus State University coming up, USTA National Campus in Orlando, Florida, this Thursday, May 11th at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. And you can go to LeMoyneDolphins.com for more information. And you can also go to wakeupcalldt.com, click on Lemoyne, and see the composite schedule, which obviously men's tennis is a part of. So bring me into Columbus State. You said there's 10 teams that you believe Lemoyne going in can beat, and then there's 5 of those really, really difficult matchups, Columbus State being one of those teams. What do you see from Columbus State on the court, and what are your thoughts going in?
Yeah, so I mean, for us to be successful, and at last year's tournament, there's a total of 15 matches being played. All 15 matches, the doubles point was won by the winning team. So, I mean, that's going to be huge for us. Their number 2 doubles team, they won the ITA Cup a year ago. I recruited to be a grad student, one of those guys. So, I mean, I know the guys, their number 2 guy is a terrific player, and he went to the same school as Alberto, who's on our team. So, I mean, there's a lot of connections there. The thing about them is that makes them special is that nothing snowballs in terms of emotions.
Yeah.
You lose a point, even if there's a celebration on the other side, they're even keel, they're moving on to the next point. They win a point, they celebrate quickly, move on to the next point. Mental errors rarely happen. So, I mean, that's something that's and we don't see that very often. And guys that can do that are a special breed, and maybe that's coaching. I don't even know, but that's something we're gonna have to understand. We have to be solid. 3 and 4 have to be solid. Manny's gonna be playing a guy who's the same Italian ranking as him, so that's gonna be a war. Casper's playing a different kid from Italy who is the kid that I recruited. And I really like him. He's a great dude. Yeah, so I mean, there's going to be chances across the board, though. I mean, Santiago Perez, who's a grad transfer from Xavier in New Orleans, is the number 1 player in the country. He's going to be playing Peter, and he's just not going to. You don't see the kind of power that Peter brings to the table. So he's gonna be surprised at first, and if Peter can keep his foot on the gas pedal, maybe squeak that first set out, it'll be very interesting. So I'm pumped. I mean, there's opportunities there. I mean, it's there could have been me thinking we got no shot, and that's not the case. So I'm really looking forward to it, and the guys are too.
Yeah, and there's so much excitement that's going on, and definitely excited about everything that is to come. Coming up this Thursday, May 11th, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, USTA National Campus for Lemoyne men's tennis going up against Columbus State, and that is happening inside of the NCAA tournament. So, Jeff, as always, I appreciate it. You and I will talk Bears, we'll talk everything else as we move forward, but I want to stay focused on the task at hand, so I'm excited about that, and I look forward to talking with you soon.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Shout out to men's and women's lacrosse and baseball. I'm pumped. Hopefully those guys have an awesome end to their seasons too. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Danny.
Absolutely. I'll talk with you soon, Jeff. Thanks.
Appreciate it, man. Bye.
So that coming once again from Jeff Lonczak here. So a lot of great things happening. We're going to take a step aside on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. We'll be back right after this. In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville Bees. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you.
I'm George Townsend of Honda City with some good advice when buying a new car. The true cost of owning a new car is determined by the appraised value when you trade it. No vehicle appraises higher than a Honda. Next, look for low APRs and deep discounts. You also want low maintenance costs and great fuel economy. That's why my advice to you is to buy a new Honda. Looking pre-owned, visit our Honda Certified Used Car Center. Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard, Liverpool, or HondaCity-CNY.com.
It would be a pity if you don't shop at Honda City.
Our corporate purpose at Chick-fil-A is to glorify God by being faithful stewards of all that's entrusted to us and to positively influence all those who come in contact with Chick-fil-A. And what became increasingly clear from our success in Cicero is that people love Chick-fil-A. And also I think we recognized that, we had a great opportunity to grow the brand and grow our platform. I felt incredibly grateful when I was selected to be a Chick-fil-A operator. I think what it's meant for me, what I've come to realize on a very deep level is that this is a calling for me. It's not a career. It's not a job. The Lord called me to be a Chick-fil-A operator and to use these restaurants to glorify Him and to positively influence other people. I'm blessed. I'm very blessed.
Head to Chick-fil-A Clay on 3974 State Route 31 in Liverpool, New York. Avicoli's, located on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, has been your trusted neighbor for decades. Located just steps from Liverpool High School, we're happy to have the Liverpool Warriors on-site, on-location broadcast at Avicoli's through Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every single month, featuring student athletes, coaches, and administration throughout the year from Liverpool High School. Head out to Avicoli's today on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, open Tuesday through Sunday for lunch, dinner, and drinks. We'd love to see you out there. And of course, you can call them at 315-622-5100 for takeout, delivery, and catering. That's 315-622-5100. And also find them on myavicolis.com. That's myavicollis.com. Having peace of mind when you're out of town that your furry-loving friend is safe and sound means taking them to Canine Campground, because we all know that when it comes to the love of our pets, it goes well beyond the call of duty to make sure they're safe and sound. Right, Lily? So take a ride to 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse, New York, and see Canine Campground and where your dog will be staying in the classic cabin, the executive cabin, the grand cabin, or of course the luxury cabin, because if you know Lily, you know she loves luxury. Now you don't have to wait to the last minute to find a family member or a friend that'll take your dog for a few days. Call Canine Campground at 315-299-4013. That's 315-299-4013. Their drop-off and pickup times are Monday through Sunday. Check K9campground.com for more information. That's the letter K, the number 9, and campground spelled with a K.com. K9campground.com.
When you're going out of town, bring your dog to Canine Campground.
PB&J's Lunchbox, the food truck that you love finding all throughout Central and Upstate New York, now has a street-side cafe. So when you're craving their traditional favorites as well as their out-of-box amazing menu items, you can now head to 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. Located just minutes from the highway, the Thruway, Destiny USA, and Onondaga Lake Parkway, PB&J's Lunchbox Street-Side Cafe is there for you Monday through Saturday from 9 a.m. to 7 p.m., serving breakfast, lunch, and dinner all throughout the day. Get breakfast for dinner, dinner for lunch, whatever you fancy, including their award-winning grilled peanut butter and jelly sandwich. Find them at 663 Old Liverpool Road in Liverpool, New York. PB&J's Lunchbox, where we love to know what's in your lunchbox. This is a special message from 317 at Montgomery restaurant owner Joel Carpenter. Open Tuesday through Saturday for your dining pleasure on 317 Montgomery Street in Syracuse, New York.
We wanted to be a part of the resurgence of Syracuse. We saw a lot of money being put into bringing people back downtown and thought that, we'd like to be a part of that. I love putting together a good dish where people see it first, they fall in love with it, and then it tastes just as good as it looks. We want to provide the best food in Syracuse that we possibly can, and we want you to leave here talking to your family, your friends about what you had to eat first and foremost, but also our service, and to walk out feeling like you're part of our family. I work out in the front of the house a lot, and I love walking to every single table, asking them how everything is, and people looking at me and smiling and saying, this is the most amazing short rib I've ever had. This is the most amazing filet I've ever had. And Donna is great. Sarah's amazing. Thank you for coming over and talking to us. And then them just being truly happy for the experience that they've gotten.
317 at Montgomery Restaurant, part of the fabric of downtown Syracuse, located on 317 Montgomery Street in Syracuse, New York. Open Tuesday through Saturday for a unique and memorable dining experience. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of a fantastic week of broadcast. We are so happy to be here with you where sports truly meets that thing called life. And I thank you for being here every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And so happy to have Jeff Lonczak on the broadcast here this morning for an all-new edition of the Dolphin Dive. As you know, Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora and Dan Tortora Broadcast Media have an exclusive multimedia marketing partnership with Moyne College, the first of its kind at the college, and the first time that we embarked upon anything of this in the history of Dan Tortora Broadcast Media. So I want to thank Dr. Linda Lemura, the president of Moyne College, as well as athletics director Bob Beretta for entrusting me with their message and their vision and their mission. And it means ever so much to me to be able to do all these specials, including having Jeff Lonczak on the broadcast here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora and get to share the story of yet another run to the NCAAs for men's tennis at Moyne College. So a lot of great stuff, really excited. And we got a few minutes before Dave Pasiak comes up. So I do want to send my condolences and send my prayers to everything that's been going on in our community here. And just the sadness of what's happened, in our community with young people passing away way too soon. And so, I mean, I know that the news has come out, and we've seen that there's been yet another tragedy in our community, and I want people to truly know and understand that life is precious and it's a beautiful, beautiful thing. You have to hug the ones that you love. You have to be there for them. You have to give what you can give. And just be the best that you can be. It's not easy to ever have somebody pass away of any age that you love and you appreciate and you're close with. And to have this story here of Riley Bartlett and Brady Niver, of Brady and Riley passing away, and just life is so precious and so beautiful. And I feel like during COVID, I feel like with everything that we've been through as a community, we should know better. We should know how to treat each other. We should know how to love each other. We should know how to appreciate each other. And yet I feel that some of us still haven't learned that. And it makes me sad. So, I mean, I feel the need, and I felt this before I started the show today when I saw that you know, that there's yet another young person passing away in our community. When I was a kid, and I understand, things happen with accidents and whatnot, but overall, I mean, in high school now, kids are afraid of gun violence. Kids are, kids get bullied all day long. They get bullied when they're home on social media. I mean, I know what I went through as a kid, and I know how, some people treated me, and I sit here and I think about it, and I think to myself, I can't even imagine being a kid in today's world. I just can't. And, when we're kids, we're innocent. We grow up and we know what we see and we know what we hear. They say we're sponges, right? We take it all in. So watch what you say to a kid and watch what you do around a kid. Kids should feel free. They should feel safe. They should feel happy. My childhood, yeah, I was bullied. Yeah, I wasn't always treated nice. But I had a great childhood. Great family. A lot of love. A lot of tradition. Got to play basketball. Got to sing. Got to, go to church. And got to go to Disney all the time. And just live that. And at 37 years old, I still love Disney. I still love what I believe Disney should be. And, I just couldn't help but say, after we speak with Jeff and before we speak with Dave, I have to say a prayer for the families that are suffering loss today. And I know that people that watch and listen to the show, you come from different religions, you come from different backgrounds. Some of you believe in God, some of you don't, but I do. And I'd love to say a prayer and know that I am asking every religion and faith to join me in this prayer. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. God, I ask you today to watch over the families of those that have passed on. I ask you to be with us and to help us and help us to move forward, help us to understand that you love us even in these times where it doesn't make sense. I ask you to watch over Brady, and I ask you to accept Brady and Riley into heaven, which I have no doubt you will. I ask you to love them up. I ask you to love up their families. I ask you to help everyone that is going through this, every teacher, every classmate, every neighbor, every family member and friend that is dealing with the tragic loss of Brady and Riley. But I ask that it is not truly a loss, because how can you lose something that lives on? A spirit that continues to grow and blossom in heaven, that continues to be there. Yes, they're not physically here, but also, yes, they love, and that love knows no distance. It knows no bounds. I say the prayer all the time, or I say the statement to myself all the time: dying, you destroyed our death. Rising, you restored our life. Jesus, through love, God, through love, has destroyed death. And in that sense, spirits live on. Heaven is real. People are never truly gone. And I know that it is hard to not have Brady and Riley here to hug and see and laugh with and listen to. But I pray and I hope to you, God, that somehow, some way, we can feel them, we can know them, we can sense them in every positive way, and that their loved ones are getting all the comfort and all the hugs and all of the love from you right now, that people don't ask, why, God, why, but that they come to you in these moments, that they don't blame you, but that they love you, and that they see through you. They see through all of this tragedy. They see through your eyes what is really there. I just pray, God, that they know your love, and that even in this most terrible loss, that their faith stays strong, because their faith has been strong. And I pray and I hope that faith is something that is easy to do when life is easy, and darn near impossible when life is hard. But true faith, that doesn't die. And true faith can withstand adversity, because without adversity, how do we even know that we have faith? So not saying that we're happy in anybody passing away, I'm saying to you, Lord, that through this adversity, may we truly have faith, find our faith, strengthen our faith. The worst tragedy that could happen from a death of a loved one is for us to die inside as well while we're still alive on this earth, to lose our faith. May they stay positive. May they be surrounded by your love. May they be helped by you, loved by you, cherished by you. And in a world that makes no sense, somehow, some way, please let them know that you love them. And may Brady and Riley never be far from their loved ones. May heaven not be that far away. May reaching our hand out, may that touch be there. God, I love you with everything that I am. And I pray and I hope for health, safety, happiness, healing completely and for good. And no matter what, healing through you. Handling well whatever comes our way. Being safe and sound and always together, even in death, God. I don't have the perfect words, but I pray and I hope that Riley and Brady are safe and sound in heaven with you. Their loved ones are safe and sound here on earth, and that their loved ones that are in heaven have been reunited with them. And that through heaven and earth, and wherever we are, we're never far away. And that bridge between life and death is Jesus. And because Jesus is love, we never truly lose our loved ones, and that this is not a goodbye for Brady and Riley. It's a see you later. Just help us, God. Help us. Help us to seize the day and love the moments we have. I love you, God, with all that I am. With that being said, I will take a step aside on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, and I will be back with Dave Pasiak right after this.
Hi, this is Amy from Mother's Cupboard, home of the whole frittata. We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942 and tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge, and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item, available 7 days a week. Here at Mother's Cupboard, we are Central New York, and it's our honor to serve you.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory remind us that every day is worth celebrating. Find them at 201 Old 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. Open Monday through Saturday in-store and all the time online at maandpaspopcorn.com. Serving our Central New York community and beyond, you can order all throughout the country at maandpaspopcorn.com. And remember to get your tins, which have in-store half-price refills forever. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, available to you for fundraising and all of your events by calling 315-450-6272. That's 315-450-6272. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you? This is a special message from Merritt Brady, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Watertown on 1290 Arsenal Street in Watertown, New York.
Chick-fil-A for me has always been about the people. I think it starts with the strength and leadership of the Cathy family. It's just amazing to see a family-run business reach the altitude that they have. Second mile service is something that we embodied at my previous business, and the ability to make people feel like they're the only person at your establishment, that you are there to serve them that day, and looking for those extra ways to make them happy, to anticipate what they need next is what makes me tick. And I'm going to have so many opportunities at Chick-fil-A to do that. It's one of my favorite things to eat in the world. My favorite application question or interview question when I'm interviewing is when I get to, have you ever eaten at Chick-fil-A? And a smile hits both their ears. They can't even answer the question for a second. And when I see that, it's like, man, that's going to be a great hire. They already get it. They already feel it. They already know that we're different. The Chick-fil-A experience, it's a real thing. And then, of course, just our generosity and community involvement and making a positive impact in the lives of our team members, our guests, and the community in general, I think is really the secret sauce.
Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Happy to be here with you every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. And you know this man of many years for being on Wake Up Call ever since I returned to Central New York. Dave Pasiak's been on the show. I think he may have been the first guest on the show, or one of the first that I had when I was over at the Score 1260 when I came home to Syracuse, New York, and then when I started my own company almost 11 years ago. Dave has been with me all throughout, and we've made it a habit of talking during the NBA playoffs for sure. So it is always an honor and a privilege to welcome longtime basketball head coach as well as analyst of the game, and somebody who I trust to talk about this game more than most. And very proud NVU Linden Hornets as well, men's basketball head coach out in Vermont. Dave Pasiak here with me on the show. We missed you last week, Dave, because I was doctor's orders, had to take a little break and rest the voice with some stuff that's been going on. But I was down in Florida watching, and I know we usually talk on a Tuesday, and I was watching the Warriors-Lakers on a Tuesday with my older bro Joey, who's a Golden State fan. So we had some fun with that, and I'm happy to have you back here. Dave Pasiak on the broadcast talking NBA playoffs. Mr. Pasiak, how we doing?
Great, Dan. Good to be back talking to you. We got a lot to catch up on.
Yes, we do. So what a difference a week makes. We've heard people say that in the past before, but it's very, very true in the grand scheme of things here. So what a difference a week has made in what's been going on. And so I would love to get your take here as we kind of go back into that week where we weren't on the air together to discuss some of these series and some things that happen, because it's sometimes it feels like the NBA is so long in the playoffs and then it accelerates itself and you're like, where did it go? So I would love to hear from you as we go back here to that week and kind of catch people up on everything. Is that first week of May, being down in Florida for me and airing all those specials with you, and I appreciate everybody that watched them. We had a very record-breaking week, and so I can't thank you enough for paying attention to all of the content that we put out there. But going to these series, going to the beginnings of them, would love to get your thoughts on the East and the West. We could start in the East of what we saw happen last week.
Yeah, I think, I'll start with the Knicks and the Heat. I think going in a little of this is probably Northeast and New York bias and whatnot. I think a lot of people thought the Knicks had a great shot in that series, and count myself as not being one of them. I thought from the jump Miami was the better team. I know the seeds, they're the 8th seed and everything, but they were, they didn't have their whole core together a significant amount in the regular season. I just think you got a big time postseason performer in Jimmy Butler. I think that he got a significant coaching advantage with Spoelstra on the sidelines. One of the most accomplished guys in the NBA, and probably a guy who has never gotten as much credit as he should. I'm not that surprised that series has played out the way it has, because I just thought going in, Miami's the better team. I think New York may they may be able to win at home and extend it one more game, but I'd be shocked if the Knicks come all the way back and win that series. I really think the Heat are going to move on, and I also think the Heat are going to present a problem for either Philly or Boston in the next round. So.
Yeah, and so, I mean, starting with that one, like you said, with the Heat, and you were talking with me about what could have been in the NBA playoffs this year, based on the play-in tournament and what that would have looked like and what it could have looked like. And so I would love for you to share kind of your approach to this and what it would have been, because, we look at Miami and we look at Atlanta and the fact that they were fighting for that, 7 seed, and Atlanta gets the 7 seed, they face Boston, and Miami gets the 8 seed and they face Milwaukee. And you had a theory on how this could have changed everything, and I'd love for you to share that.
Yeah, it is. It's crazy about how one game changes the whole landscape of the NBA, because you go back to that play-in game, Miami's the 7, Atlanta's the 8. So no play-in tournament, those are the seeds. Play-in tournament, Atlanta upsets Miami in that play-in game. So now you got the Hawks at 7, and then obviously the Heat get in as the 8 seed after winning the next game. So Miami, and it's proven out to be this way. I mean, this was a team that got to the Eastern Finals a year ago. So they're one of the better teams in the NBA and in the Eastern Conference. So if they win that play-in game, they're playing Boston in the first round, and in all likelihood, really extending the Celtics with a chance to win that series outright. And meanwhile, Milwaukee probably has their way with Atlanta, just because Atlanta has proven itself to not be a consistent enough team to beat a Milwaukee over 7 games. So you think about that. So Miami ends up as the 7. They extend Boston, possibly win. Milwaukee probably has their way with Atlanta. Milwaukee probably has their way with the Knicks in the next round. Budenholzer still coaching the Bucks, and the Bucks are in the Eastern Finals and probably favored to come out of the East. As it is, Miami takes care of the Bucks in 4 or 5 games. One of the great, ridiculous overreactions in NBA recent history. The Bucks firing Budenholzer, and then now Miami's poised to move on to the conference finals, and Philly or Boston is going to have the home court advantage in the next round versus would have had to not have that advantage if Milwaukee had gone all the way through. So it's just crazy how one outcome, one upset in the play-in tournament really upset the playoff landscape and the NBA landscape as a whole. With the Bucks, parting ways with Budenholzer.
Yeah, and you go to that, the firing of Budenholzer for the Bucks. I mean, we're talking about the number 1 seed in the East, and what Milwaukee's done in recent history and the success that they've had. You called it one of the biggest overreactions. I don't disagree with you, but I'd love for you to go a little bit deeper into it.
Yeah, I mean, Budenholzer, now he's a guy who won a championship just a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
And he was there 5 years, and 3 of the 5 years they had the best record in the league, including this year. Best record in the NBA, and Middleton was not 100% this year, and they still had the best record in the league. To me, it's a crazy move. You don't know what's going on inside the organization. I know this ownership group seems, if you kind of believe what's out there in public, it seems like they might have been looking for an opportunity to whack Budenholzer for a couple of years. I mean, it was out there when the year they won the championship that had they not won it, he might have got fired that year. But he's a guy that, for whatever reason, as a championship coach, he's taken them, like I said, to they have arguably currently the best player in the league, certainly one of the top handful of players in the league. But I think their roster, top to bottom, probably not as good as several other teams in the league, especially given the way injuries have kind of caught up to Middleton. So it's the kind of move that doesn't make a lot of sense to me. it will be interesting to see where they go as a franchise. They've got I think Middleton and Lopez, I believe, are coming up on contracts this year. They're both getting a little long in the tooth, so it'll be interesting to see, whether they try to run it back with the same core, or whether they try to make some moves, stay at a high level. And the other thing they've got to think about is Giannis has got a couple of years left on his deal, and he's always been really loyal to Milwaukee, and really has not given an indication that he's interested in playing anywhere else. But at the same time, you hear rumblings that there's other teams in the NBA are kind of keeping their eye on what goes on there. And the Bucks, traditionally small market team, they have not been one to spend significantly over the cap to retain their guys and bring in free agents and whatnot. So they got some organizational decisions. And I think where they go as an organization, I think you get a little bit of clue to that when you see what they do in terms of the head coaching position. If they bring in a guy like Nick Nurse, they are looking for somebody to give them just that little spark and maybe keep them at a championship level. If they go with the assistant or more of an unproven guy, that might be a little bit of a tip-off that somewhat of a retool is coming up there in the next couple of years. So interesting to see. But the Budenholzer thing, I thought, was one of the craziest firings I remember in recent NBA history, honestly.
Yeah, and we've seen stuff like this before. We've seen the knee-jerk freak out, type of thing in multiple different sports. And I still go back to Syracuse firing Paul Pasqualoni, who had one losing season his entire time at Syracuse, and he went 6-6 in his last 2 years, and he got fired, let go, feeling unceremoniously, to be completely honest. And Syracuse's football program has never come back from losing Paul Pasqualoni. So, I think that there's been numerous moments, and it throws you off, Dave. But you're a head coach of so many years, and you know what it's like to go through the process of people that get it and people that don't get it. What's going to happen to the Bucks, in your opinion? Does this team fall into a rebuild? Do they somehow find a way to keep going? When you lose a coach and you lose that, you're going to find out how much Budenholzer had when it came to, keeping this team together, being the nucleus of the team. It did his message get through to guys? Because if the team can succeed so well without him, then you think to yourself, okay. But I look at when Jimmy Johnson was the head coach of the Cowboys, and seemingly Jerry Jones couldn't just stay upstairs and be an owner. He had to be everywhere. And Jimmy Johnson leaves. Barry Switzer wins a Super Bowl the next year. But after that, no more. And they've never been the same since. I jokingly said that I remember watching that game. And I remember when the Cowboys won, Barry Switzer was standing on the field kind of by himself. And I felt like guys finally realized when they won the Super Bowl that they were maybe going to hug Jimmy Johnson. And they're like, who the hell's this guy on the sideline? It's like they didn't even know that Barry was there because they just had that nucleus. They had that team and they won together. Do you think the Bucks can be that team to say, whoever our coach is, we're going to keep winning? Or do you think Budenholzer had more of a stamp on this thing?
Well, I think Budenholzer never got the credit he deserved. I think in terms of where they go going forward, it all pivots around Giannis to a certain extent.
Yeah.
I believe they'll try to extend him this offseason. My guess is he won't bite on it, and he won't look to extend until this deal runs out, because I think he's eligible for a 2-year extension. But if there's no reason to believe he's not going to continue to be one of the elite players in the league. So if he plays out this contract, there'll be a lot more money on the table with him at the end of it versus signing the 2-year extension now. So that's my guess in terms of Giannis. If he does sign the extension, which I don't expect, but if he does sign that, that's a clear indication that they're serious about staying at the top of the league. Like I mentioned a while ago, a couple minutes ago, I think their two big decisions in the offseason are, have to do with Middleton and Lopez, who are core guys, in that rotation. If they lose one or both of those guys, what kind of moves can they make, and are they willing to make to keep them at that elite level and not risk falling back into NBA purgatory, where you're like good enough to make the playoffs every year, but not good enough to play with the best teams, and not bad enough to secure a high draft pick or a lot of draft capital. So I think it's a really, really interesting offseason with the Bucks, and I think what their organizational direction is will have a large impact on who they ultimately hire as head coach and what the interest level of the head coaching candidates that are out there on the market might be.
Well, and here's the thing with the guys that you mentioned, with Giannis and company. I mean, are we? I mean, you have to make that decision pretty rapidly, right? On which coach you're going to bring in, because your stars and your superstar, they have to figure out, do I want to play for that guy? So, how do you feel about all that? I mean, could this be a situation where the Bucks lose their nucleus, lose their the guys that they lean on even before this happens? I mean, what's kind of your thought on that? Because in today's day and age, I mean, loyalty is something that's fleeting sometimes, and a connection to the team as opposed to just thinking of oneself. So in this period of transition, do you feel like, hey, this new coach, no matter who they are, could be coming to a team that's maybe a little bit gutted, because some of these guys might go, yeah, I'm not sitting around and waiting. So, I mean, how do you feel about that side of it and the timing of it?
I think that Giannis, it's naive to think that Giannis won't have a significant level of influence on who may ultimately be the next coach. Right. So, I would guess that they're going to tap into him, and he's going to have something to say about it for sure. Now, again, I mean, Giannis has given every indication that he's loyal to Milwaukee, wants to continue to play in Milwaukee, seems to be comfortable there. He doesn't seem like but Giannis comes from more of a European mindset too, which tends to be, painting with a really broad brush, tends to be somewhat more team and organization centric versus kind of the American model where it's more individualistic. So I don't think Giannis has this burning desire necessarily that he has to go to LA or New York or Miami or something, or like a major market to build his brand. So I think that's working in the Bucks' favor for sure. But it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. And from the coaching carousel standpoint, it's interesting too, because you look at the recent NBA champions. Budenholzer's fired, Nick Nurse fired, Vogel fired. So I think it's like Steve Kerr is the only one left of the last four championship coaches. The other three have all been fired. So winning the championship in years past tended to give you, and actually, if you go back a little farther, Ty Lue got fired. He's landed again, but all of the recent championship coaches not named Steve Kerr are no longer employed by the same team. So, the having the pedigree of being a championship coach doesn't seem to give you the same amount of collateral and the same leeway that it had for years and years in the NBA and all of professional sports.
Yeah, I mean, it just, we live it. They talk about what have you done for me lately, but I mean, Budenholzer, for goodness sakes, like you said, the keeper of the best record, the keeper of the top seed. It seems completely strange, and it seems like the wrong decision. But we shall see who they're going to bring in and what they're going to do as far as leadership wise with the Milwaukee Bucks. Milwaukee Bucks falling out of this NBA playoffs so very early on here in the first round to Miami 4-1. So the Knicks advance with Miami. Now, when I see Miami Knicks, this is what I think about. When I see Heat Knicks, I go back. And the first thing that was on my mind, Dave, and I don't know if this is the same for you, but this is what happens on my mind. I think Patrick Ewing, Alonzo Mourning. I think Chris Childs, Tim Hardaway. I'm in this world of I've been transported back in time to when Miami and New York used to have punch out, drag out fights, awesome moments, just incredible players, incredible talent, guys inside, guys outside, complete teams. And here we are with Miami this time around. And not only did they take care of Milwaukee handily 4-1, but they're in a place right now where they can potentially do that with New York as they're up 3-1. What are your thoughts on Miami? I know we've talked about them a bit, but does New York stand a chance? Or is Miami arguably the most lethal team in the East or maybe in the NBA? I'd love to get your thoughts.
Well, I think it's somewhere in between. And when I think back to Heat Knicks, I think about Van Gundy clinging to Mourning's leg, But
yeah.
I think Miami is certainly underseeded. I think they're a much better team than their seed. Just their seed was based on some of the roadblocks they had in the playoffs. And the other thing to keep in mind is they may get Hero back if they can. If they can stay alive long enough, certainly if they get to the finals and even potentially late in the conference finals, so they're doing this without Tyler Hero, who's one of their core guys. But postseason Jimmy Butler is he's proven it in the past. He's capable of putting that team on his back. So, I would be shocked if the Knicks come back and win 3 in a row against Miami. To me. Of the 4 series right now, I think that one is the closest to a sure bet the Heat are going to come out of that series. And I do think the way they're playing in the postseason, I think they're going to present a challenge to either Philly or Boston. Should Boston come back? I don't think it's a walkover that. Sixers Celtics winner is going to get to the NBA Finals. I think whoever wins that series will be the favorite because of home court and higher seed and whatnot. But I certainly I expect the Eastern Finals to be a tough, drawn-out series, no matter what the matchup is.
So, to you, when you look at Philadelphia and you look at Boston, your Sixers, congratulations. Broke the tie of the series and are up 3-2 right now. What is it about Philly and Boston? We hear about Boston. Milwaukee's out. Boston. Even when Milwaukee in, it was Boston. So what is it about Philadelphia? Why are they so dangerous? When we hear people talk about the Celtics and what the Celtics can do and what the Celtics can be, bring me into the Philadelphia 76ers and why they're challenging these Boston Celtics.
Well, I think last night was the first time that you've seen, their core 4 all playing at a high level last night. The first 2 games the Sixers won in the series, James Harden was MVP Harden, 40-plus points and whatnot. Last night, James Harden was point guard James Harden and really facilitated for Embiid, for Maxey, for Tobias Harris. And then the other thing that kind of flew under the radar, PJ Tucker made a lot of what I would call winning plays. And he's a guy that throughout his career, he's been a guy that is never the big stat line guy, but always a guy that makes winning plays. And I thought there was a really good observation last night during the telecast that PJ Tucker also has the locker room credibility and the personality that he'll challenge Embiid and he'll challenge Harden. And I think that's a very underrated component of what he brings to the team. So like last night, we talked at the beginning of the series that Boston had to grab control of the series early when Embiid was out, and then when Embiid was less than 100%. The longer the series goes, the healthier. And like last night, he took the brace off, and last night you saw MVP Embiid. I mean, he didn't play game 1. Game 2 came back, was really rusty, didn't look good. Games 3 and 4 played well, but not at MVP level. Last night you saw MVP Embiid. So I think that doesn't bode well for the Celtics. Certainly that, his health, like a lot of series, we talk about previewing, and then, if you get a significant injury in the next game, the whole tenor of the series changes, right? But when Philly has, their core 4 with them, Embiid, Maxey Harden, and Harris all firing on all cylinders, they're as good as any team in the NBA, and they can win the championship. I think the one thing that was a little bit concerning, if you're a Philly fan, and I think might have cracked the door open a little bit for something Boston might want to consider. Boston waved the white flag with about 3.5 minutes to go in the game. It was 21. And they went to their bench, which Boston's bench has been a strength of theirs, and I think that's one area where they may have an advantage over Philly. But Boston, they emptied the bench, and right away they went on a quick 9-0 run and really had a chance to make it interesting with about 2 minutes to go in the game. They had a couple opportunities to cut it back to single digits with their backup guys playing. And, perhaps going into the next couple games, Boston will try to kind of take advantage of their roster depth a little bit more, get some energy, because I thought like their starters, Horford had been good early in the series. He was awful last night. Jaylen Brown didn't play as well. Tatum kind of single-handedly kept him in the game, but perhaps Boston can take advantage of their bench, because I think, if you go back a couple games, Philly was really tired at the end of, even game 4 that they won to even the series. They kind of hung on in that game. So, if I'm Boston, I'm thinking, how can we make it more of our full roster against their full roster? Philly, I think, when their starting 5 is firing on all cylinders, I think they're better. Boston has obviously Tatum and Brown, great players, and a bunch of parts that fit really well with them. But I think Philly has the more talented starting lineup for sure. So, that's going to be the thing. I'm sure Boston's going to come out with their best effort in Game 6. And Philly had better close it out in Game 6, because if it goes 7 back to Boston, it will be tough for the Sixers to win a Game 7 in Boston. Remember, Celtics were in this position last year against the Bucks. Milwaukee went up 3-2 going home to close out the series. Boston managed to pull the game out and then ended up winning pretty easily in Game 7 last year. So Celtics have been in this spot before. Winning that closeout game, that's the toughest one to win in the series usually, because you got the other team desperate. So Sixers are going to have to play at the same level, I think, to close it out. But if they can carry over how they played last night, I got every reason to believe that they'll come out of that series.
That coming here from longtime basketball coach and analyst, Mr. Dave Pasiak, and appreciate him as always. So definitely appreciate everything that's been going on, and I can't thank you enough, Dave, for bringing that expertise over the years here to Wake Up Call. We head to the West, and looking at the West right now, what did I say at the beginning of this? I said the Lakers cannot be let in, because if you open the door to the Lakers, you are in trouble. I said it over and over again. If you give them a chance, if you give them an opening, if you give them an opportunity, something can go down, and it has. The Lakers are up 3-1 on the Golden State Warriors, and I was watching the series with my big brother, shout out Joey, down in Orlando this past week. Lakers with a 3-1 lead on Golden State. Now, Memphis didn't come to play. We're typical for Memphis to be, a 7 seed, an 8 seed, maybe somewhere in the middle. This year they rise all the way up to a 2 seed. They've gotten better over time. Yet Memphis did nothing against the Lakers. They lost 4 games to 2. And then you have Sacramento, who goes 7 games with Golden State, and then you have the usual suspects. Even though Sacramento was supposed to be good this year, even though Memphis was supposed to maybe get over the hump this year, we still got Steph Curry, LeBron James, Anthony Davis, Klay Thompson. We still got all of those guys in the next round. California versus California. Lakers versus Golden State. Lakers only need one more to bump out Golden State. What are your thoughts, Dave, on the Los Angeles Lakers, a team that was in, then they were out, then they were in, then they were out, a down-and-out team, a team of injury, a team that people were trying to figure out who they were, and they weren't going to be a playoff team a few weeks before, and now all of a sudden they could be playing in the Western Conference Championship. Your thoughts?
Well, the LeBron haters' heads must be ready to explode watching the series. Because, the talk going into the series, to me, which was laughable, should Curry start to get mentioned in the decision or discussion of greatest player ever? To me, that's a laughable assertion. Curry's obviously maybe the greatest shooter in league history, one of the greats certainly. But to start talking about him in the same discussion as LeBron and Michael Jordan and Russell, Wilt, Kareem, that to me that's absurd. But anyways, back to LeBron, and the thing that he has really, I think, done, and he speaks of it when they interview him, is I think he's given their role players and the guys that surround him and Anthony Davis, he's kind of taken the pressure off of all those guys. And he's alluded to it, he'll figure the game out. He's trying to allow those guys to play free and loose. And you saw an example of it. Lonnie Walker was phenomenal in the fourth quarter. The other night comes out of nowhere, and probably the biggest reason the Lakers were able to pull that game out. And you've got to give credit to LeBron and to Anthony Davis, who are the stars on that team, for giving Lonnie Walker the space to be able to do that. And recognizing that he was having a big night, a favorable matchup, and all that. So, because they won the game the other night, Anthony Davis was really quiet coming down the stretch of that game. So, it was a game where they won a pivotal game without, their second best player having much of a game. So, you mentioned the first round series with the Lakers and Memphis, the Warriors and Sacramento. The advantage that both of those teams had was obviously the DNA championship experience with Curry and the Warriors, LeBron and the Lakers and whatnot. Those things offset this round. You don't have the inexperienced but talented young team that's going to necessarily crack under pressure. So, I think that has led to some great basketball in this series. I think the Warriors are going to come out with a great effort, and they're back home in Game 5. I think it wouldn't shock me if, as a matter of fact, I would kind of expect the Warriors to extend it to 6, and the Lakers to close it out at home, in Game 6. But I think one of the interesting things to watch in the off season, if Golden State doesn't come all the way back, this might be finally the end of this iteration of the Warriors, because I think Curry is still playing at an elite level, obviously, but I think you're seeing Draymond is not quite where he was. Klay Thompson certainly is not where he was. And Klay Thompson took some awful shots down the stretch of that last game. So that really, really hurt the Warriors in that game. But, so I think Golden State is probably not that far off from having to answer some of those organizational decisions, just like we talked about with Milwaukee a little while ago. Are they going to – they've got Poole as a really good young player, and Looney's but Looney's not an offensive threat. So, do they retool the team, still around Steph, but do they start to kind of diminish Thompson and Green a little bit, and either try to make some moves to retool younger and still stay in an elite level. So I think if the Lakers close that series out, I think Golden State, they've been running it back with the same big three. I think they're approaching the time where they're going to have to make some decisions. Where are they going to start to de-emphasize those guys and replace them with, with some younger talent with more tread on the tires.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. That's the thing is, no matter what happens with the Lakers and the Warriors, are we seeing the end of this? Is really the question, Dave. Are we seeing the end of a LeBron, Anthony Davis team like this, or is there more legs to it? Are we seeing an end of Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green and company, and Jordan Poole and whatnot? Are we seeing an end of that team making it this far? I mean, as young as these guys are in real life, in the NBA, it's like becoming grandfathers in certain cases, definitely in LeBron's case. So is this, because of all the years he's spent in there, so is this the end of the Golden State domination era? And are the Lakers going to look different from here as well? I mean, I feel like I'm kind of asking about both teams, but I think in my head, I'm thinking more about Golden State because LeBron's teams, kind of get recycled like underwear sometimes. But in the case of Steph Curry and the team that's here with him, and Klay and Draymond and so on and so forth, there's been this, and it's been my word of the broadcast today, there's been a nucleus. There's been a team that we're used to seeing. Is this the end of the Golden State Warrior domination with this roster?
Well, I think we're certainly coming up on it without some significant organizational moves. Father Time is undefeated, and I think if you look at it from one window, if the Warriors were to manage to come all the way back, win this series, and make a run at the championship, or I don't think this Golden State team is good enough to to come back against the Lakers, beat either Denver or Phoenix, and then beat whoever comes out of the East. I would be shocked if this team ends up at, winning it all again this year. But, I mean, if they were to do that, then certainly they're going to keep it together as much as they can, for another year. I don't think there'll be a Chicago Bulls type, blow everything up moment either way. Now, other side of that coin, if they go down like tonight, or they go down next game to the Lakers, especially if they go down tonight losing 5 or get beat soundly in game 6 or whatever, then I think you've accelerated that process. I think they're really going to have to think about some things organizationally, moves they can make to stay. I mean, they've shown a willingness to spend to stay at a championship level. Will they continue to do that, or they're going to have to retool younger at some point? And I think the quicker they get beat in the playoffs, the quicker you're going to see that happen. Curry will obviously still be the focal point because he's still playing at an elite level, but the other guys are starting to show where.
Yeah, I mean, and it's sad because, here we are with Golden. Now, granted, I think Sacramento, I would have liked to see Sacramento, with no offense to Golden State, because it's been forever and a day since Sacramento has been even in the conversation with anything when it comes to playoffs. But feet to the fire, Dave. Lakers are up 3-1. Miami's up 3-1. Do they both close their series tonight? Does one of them close it? If you had to put all your chips on somebody, do you put your chips on Miami and the Lakers, or do you pick one?
I think Miami is more likely to close it out than the Lakers.
Okay.
And the reason I say that is just because of championship DNA in Golden State. So I do think, now if you listen to Mike Greenberg on the air. He thinks the Lakers should rest all their guys tonight because Golden State's going to win anyways, which I think is a ridiculous idea. I think of the two, Miami has a better chance of closing it out. That said, I'm not going to be shocked if both series get extended to a game 6. Lakers, I think when you got LeBron, you got a chance. So they may close it tonight, but I really think Golden State's going to extend it to game 6. Miami and Knicks, I think Miami's the better team and has the better chance of closing it.
Yeah, I mean, I think Miami, I would say yes, tonight will close it out. And I think on the Lakers side of things, it could very well happen tonight. But, Golden State knows how to make things interesting. And once those shooters get going, you never know. So I'll give Golden State another game. And I'm going to say Miami can shut the door today. We haven't talked about Denver or Phoenix. Phoenix comes in as, even though they were the 4th seed, a lot of people's favorite to go to the NBA Finals from the West. And then we have the number 1 seeded Denver Nuggets. Their series is 3-2, just like Philadelphia leading Boston 3-2 on the East side. What's your take on Denver Phoenix? Are we getting a truly special kind of early matchup, when this isn't a finals matchup, this isn't an NBA Finals or a Western Conference final. So are we getting spoiled early with Denver Phoenix, and what are your thoughts?
Well, that's been the best series of the 4, to be honest with you. It's been just great basketball, especially great offensive basketball if you enjoy that. We talked back at the beginning of the playoffs. I felt like there were 5 teams that had a legitimate chance to win a championship, which was Milwaukee, Philly, and Boston in the East, and I thought Denver and Phoenix coming out of the West. The Lakers have kind of made me a believer that there are 6 now, but that series, I think, more than any place in the NBA, it has to do with the altitude. I think Denver's home court advantage and the difference between playing at home and playing on the road in a series that involves the Nuggets, I think, is greater than any team in the NBA. And this series just kind of proved that, where Denver has kind of had their way with Phoenix in the 3 games in Denver, and Phoenix has won the 2 games at home. So everybody has held serve in that series so far. I think that one's going 7. I think Phoenix will win coming back home. They have 2 of the best 3 players in the series with Booker and Durant. But I think combination of the altitude, the home court, and I think Denver has the deeper team and the more versatile team. I think that it's going 7, and then I would lean towards the Nuggets in Game 7 just because of the home court. For Phoenix to win the series, I think Booker has been playing. I think last night was the first time that Booker and Durant did combine for 60, and they need 60 to 70 out of those 2 guys to beat Denver. Booker has really, I think, solidified himself as an elite player in the league in this series and in these playoffs, and obviously Durant is an all-time great. So you have those 2 guys, you got a shot, and if it gets to Game 7, as much as the Nuggets have the home court, and I think it's really significant when it involves Denver, you got Booker and Durant, you got a punch of chance. So that from a basketball standpoint, it's too bad those games are late night on the East Coast because maybe not as many people see them.
Yeah.
But that has been the best series of the 4. That's been a really high level series.
It's going to be great. It's going to be interesting, and we're going to have a lot to get excited about. We could see 2 series end tonight, and then we're going to see series at least withstand another game with Philadelphia and Boston, Denver and Phoenix as well. So tonight we see Miami at New York with Miami up 3-1. The Lakers at Golden State with the Lakers up 3-1. And on Thursday, May 11th, we'll see Boston at Philly. Philly could close it out at home. Denver at Phoenix. Phoenix looking to equal this series at home. So that's the other part of it, Dave, is it kind of plays in. I mean, in Philadelphia's case, being up 3-2, they can now close it on their home court, which is obviously a competitive advantage. And then with Phoenix being down 3-2, now they have the shot to even it at home. So the series kind of has worked out in favor of the two home teams on those Thursday games. And you talked about the advantage that Denver has at home. But in the case of Philadelphia and Phoenix, they're set up right now to be in the most opportune position at their point in their series. Would you agree?
Yeah, I think Philly needs to close it out in Game 6.
Yeah.
You know, they've got it on their home court, and if they stub their toe in Game 6, it's going to be really tough to go back to Boston and win a Game 7. So I think it's huge for the Sixers, and it's probably close to as much of a must-win for the Sixers as it is for for Phoenix to win on their home court and get it back to a Game 7. I think the Sixers right now are in the driver's seat in that series, but it definitely shifts back to Boston if Boston manages to win that game in Philly on Thursday night.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens as we get closer and closer to it. Dave Pasiak here with me inside of the NBA playoffs, longtime basketball coach and analyst. And Dave, I cannot thank you enough. Appreciate you so very much for the conversations that we get to have and the expertise that you have. I can tell you this without question. You get me excited about the games every time. Every time we speak, you give me an angle. You get me excited about it. When I'm sitting there and I'm going, I'm going to go to bed, these West Coast games, a little bit late, and then it's like, no, I talked to Dave about it. I got to watch it. So I got to give you a lot of credit because as great of a coach as you have been an analyst of the game for such a long time, appreciating basketball at every single level. And your love for it comes through. The passion for it comes through. And I blame you, not the NBA commercials, as to why I watch the games.
I appreciate that. Maybe I get a little cut from the NBA one of these days, right?
Yeah.
No, I obviously always enjoy talking the game with you. I think the NBA playoffs are basketball at its highest level, and I think if you're really a fan of the game and to see the adjustments from game to game and series to series, I think, like we've talked in the past, what makes March Madness great is the unpredictability and the excitement and the upsets. And I think what makes the NBA playoffs great is it's probably the most legitimate championship in sports. And the reason I say that is that the way the playoffs are set up with, best of 7 every round, I think at the end of the day, the team that emerges is a worthy champion in the NBA. Home court advantage, I think, is probably the most significant in major professional sports. And, I think what makes the playoffs great is the fact that you do see the game adjustment, and it is going to crown the best team champion. So look forward to it every year and really enjoy breaking everything down with you as always.
Well, and I could say this, the commissioner leaves me with this statement: the NBA has silver, Wake Up Call has gold. That's how I look at it. So thank you, Dave, for your time. I appreciate you.
All right, Dan, we'll talk to you again soon.
All right, take care. That coming from Dave Pasiak once again here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside of a fantastic week of broadcast. We're going to take a step aside for a fast break. When we spin back around here, we'll wrap up today's show and get you ready for what's coming up right after this.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. I kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacted the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily. We bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here, which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have in any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. We appreciate you once again for being here every single Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Want to thank my incredible guests inside of MonPazPopcorn.com's What's Poppin'. Big time shout out to Jeff Lonczak and to everything that Moyne College and I have been able to do over these couple years of our exclusive multimedia marketing partnership, and look forward to everything that is to come. Big shout out to Dave Pasiak in our conversations on the NBA playoffs, as always, with his great expertise in the game of basketball in general. Make sure you tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time here on YouTube.com and Facebook.com, both /WakeUpCallDT, and on WakeUpCallDT.podbean.com. Once the shows go live, they jump into the archives on Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, MixLR, TuneIn, Spotify, Stitcher, YouTube, Player FM, Podbean, and Podvine. All you have to do is search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. And a big thanks to our incredible partners. Our group is so vast and so amazing, filled with wonderful, wonderful human beings that go well beyond the business world. Carvel DeWitt, the Wildcat Sports Pub, Mother's Cupboard, as well as Canine Camp Dog Daycare, Chick-fil-A Cicero and Chick-fil-A Clay, Mon Paz Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory, Canine Campground Dog Boarding, Avicoli's, Chick-fil-A Watertown, PB&J's Lunchbox, Great Lakes Honda City, Pizza Man, and of course we are proud to be the exclusive multimedia, and if I said Mother's Cupboard, if not, I'll say Mother's Cupboard again, the home of my signature sandwich that you can't find anywhere else, the exclusive Cuse McMother breakfast sandwich, available daily, Monday through Sunday, from 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m., is only at Mother's Cupboard, 3709 James Street, Syracuse, New York. Get it today. Bacon, egg, and cheese inside of 2 pieces of French toast. You can pick it up and eat it like a sandwich, or you can cut it up and have it with some syrup. That Cuse McMother, my sandwich, only available at Syracuse staple Mother's Cupboard. And we are proud to be the exclusive multimedia marketing partner of your Moyne College Dolphins. It is Fins Up every single month on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. First and third Wednesday of each month, AD and DT with Athletics Director Bob Beretta and myself, Dan Tortora. Every second and fourth Wednesday, the Dolphin Dive, like today, diving into the stories of student athletes, coaches, administration, future Dolphins, and alumni. And we underpromise, overdeliver. So outside of Dolphin time, we brought you plenty of Dolphin content pieces that you won't find anywhere else. You can grab them all by going to the wakeupcalldt.com website, clicking on Lemoyne, or subscribing to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. For more information on your Dolphins, go to LemoyneDolphins.com. Fins up. Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora is the exclusive multimedia marketing partner of your Bryant and Stratton College Bobcats of Syracuse, following baseball through their inaugural season, making history on Wake Up Call every single moment of that season and beyond, and having the opportunity of covering reigning national champion men's and women's soccer teams and men's and women's basketball teams that have advanced to the national tournament. They win at Bryant and Stratton College of Syracuse, in the classroom, on the fields, and on the courts of life. I appreciate them so very much, and always look forward to giving you the Bobcat buzz. You can find all of our content with Brian and Stratton by going to the BSC Syracuse tab on wakeupcalldt.com and by going to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt and clicking subscribe. For more information on your Bobcats, go to syracuse.bscbobcats.com. With all that being said, once again, big time thanks to Jeff Lonczak, Dave Pasiak. Pay close and special attention to all of my feeds. When breaking news happens, it happens on Wake Up Call. Do not miss a moment. Don't be the person that somebody has to say, hey, did you see that? Find us on Facebook, like it, follow it at Wake Up Call DT. Follow us on Twitter at CallDT, Instagram at WakeUpCall_DT, YouTube.com/WakeUpCallDT, and subscribe to wakeupcalldt.com. As always, God bless, no stress, do your best. We'll talk soon. Be well.